So the quote is this: it says, the more you try to do, the less you actually accomplish. And right now, if you're trying to do the Pomodoro technique and trying to get 5 things done in a short amount of time, you're going to get nothing done. Pomodoro technique is effective for shallow workers, but if you want to become a deep worker, you've got to allocate larger chunks of time to actually get one thing done, not lots of small things. And the Pomodoro technique is just shallow work. It's distracting you from the work that actually matters. And with these billion-dollar social media companies trying to get all your attention, do you need more distractions? Probably not. I used to spend 3 hours a day looking at a piece of glass and metal, aimlessly scrolling on apps. 3 hours a day over 10 years, that's a whole year of my life, just looking at a piece of glass and metal, and I didn't want that, and you don't want that as well. And so the one skill you can learn right now isn't the Pomodoro technique. The one skill you have to learn is to do deep work. It's a skill with the least supply and the highest demand, which makes it extremely valuable. So if you want my help to make deep work a daily habit, scroll down to the description and click the first link right now. So now we're going to go over why the Pomodoro technique is the worst way to do deep work. And first, it just interrupts deep workflow. So if you think about it, deep work requires long interrupted periods of concentration where you're focusing on getting one task done for a long period of time until it's absolutely complete. And if you're doing 25-minute intervals of shallow work where you're just trying to do a little bit and then having a break, doing a little bit and then having a break, you're not getting into that flow state where the actual work that needs doing gets done. I remember a time when I was at university and it was my final exam to graduate, and I was with my friend in this university library, and we were studying for our final exam, trying to create presentations, and he was there doing 15 minutes of work and then a 5-minute break, and he was doing that again and again and again. I was just thinking, how stupid is that? You're going to get not much done in 15 minutes, and you're just basically fueling your addictions for content. He wanted to go on Instagram or YouTube on his break. Of course, he didn't get much done, but I was there sitting there just doing deep work non-stop. I didn't have breaks. Literally did deep work for like 2-3 hours, had a break, another 2-3 hours, and did that for 12 hours straight. And so I was able to get all the presentations done in that day, whereas he only did half a presentation. It's because he was constantly taking breaks, only doing little bits of work and then having breaks, and he wasn't actually getting into that flow state where the work was getting done. So the reason Pomodoro technique is crap because it interrupts that deep workflow. The next thing it does is it prevents reaching peak cognitive performance. Our brain actually goes through these cycles of 90-minute cycles of focus where we increase our levels of focus till we get into a flow state, and then it comes back down, and that cycle usually takes about 90 minutes. And frequent breaks, if you're not even getting into that peak performance during that 90-minute cycle because you're stopping a third of the way through, and then having a break and you're stopping a third of the way through, so you're only really getting 30% of your capacity because you're stopping all the time. Imagine what you could be getting done if you were getting at 100% of your capacity multiple times a day over weeks and months, rather than doing 30% of your capacity every single day. So it prevents you reaching your peak performance because you're not even getting into the flow state, and working in alignment with your natural cycles of focus that your body goes through. It also disrupts your creative thinking because if you think about it, when are you most creative? When you're in that flow state, when you're doing work and then all these ideas just come to you, they flow to you. It's like you're channeling these ideas through you. And creativity often requires deep focus where we're going in for a few hours doing deep work, and then ideas will just come to us within that time. They don't come to us, the first minute we start work, 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in, we're just warming up. And so constantly breaking interrupts that creative process, and that'll just hinder your ability to come up with ideas for the work that you're doing and you're focusing on. And the next thing, it creates unnecessary stress. If you think about it, if you're limiting yourself to only doing what you need to get done in 25 minutes, by the time the 20-minute comes up and you've got 5 minutes left, you're stressed. You're like, oh shit, I can't get this all done by the 25-minute mark. And then all that cortisol increases and you're getting the work right. You're just doing the work for the sake of it. And especially when you're in that creative state and you're trying to get ideas coming to you and in that flow state, the worst thing you want to have to you is being under stress and coming up with things and ideas under stress. You want to be relaxed and calm, and that's when the best ideas come to you. It's like when you're in the shower, the best ideas come to you in the shower because you're relaxed. And so don't rush your work. Get it done in 3 hours, not 25 minutes. The last thing is that it encourages shallow work. Deep work gets done by doing a large amount of work within a long period of time. Shallow work gets done that only things that take 1 to 2 minutes, a few minutes that here and there, they're shallow work tasks that you can get done later in the day at the end of the day. Deep work tasks require you to use a lot of energy and a lot of time. So if you're only spending 25 minutes to do a task, you're only going to get shallow work done in that 25 minutes. I know you're probably thinking right now, well, I need breaks to stay productive. Well, I like to explain it like how an athlete trains, right? When they're in the game, they do a big amount of work for, 30, 40 minutes, and then they have a half-time break, and then they go back and do the other half. That's what we've got to do during deep work. Say we might have a 3-hour block for deep work. We'll do 90 minutes of work, have a break, and then another 90 minutes. It's kind of like the Pomodoro technique, but 25 minutes is way too short. We need to extend that to our body's natural cycle of focus, which is 90 minutes. So you don't need frequent breaks. You don't need short 25-minute bouts of focused work when you're really doing only shallow work. You need 90-minute bouts of deep focused work and then a break, have a half-time break, and then get back to work. And if you say and you tell yourself, I can't focus for long periods of time without a break, well, I bet you've sat down and watched a movie for 3 hours. If you can focus on a TV screen for 3 hours, you can focus on your computer screen for 3 hours. And you can train your focus as well. You might start with an hour, but gradually you can progress more and more and more. And eventually within a few weeks and months, you're doing 3 hours a day of deep work. It's a practice and it's a skill that you can train yourself to do. So your action planning, instead of doing the Pomodoro technique, you're going to do deep work. And you're going to create and try and aim for 90 minutes of focused work, which is our natural cycle. And then you're going to use strategic breaks. So rather than doing short periods of work for 25 minutes and having a break, you're going to have a half-time break in between your 3-hour deep work block. So that's doing 90 minutes of focused work, having a half-time break, another 90 minutes of focused work. And when you're doing that focused work, set a clear goal of defining exactly what you're going to get doing, exactly what you're going to do in your deep work session. Rather than doing this shallow work, I'm going to do these 5 tasks. Do the one task that's the biggest priority right now and focus on doing that during your deep work session. So set a clear goal before you do your deep work of the one thing you're going to do. Then you're going to minimize your distractions. When you're doing shallow work and you're doing Pomodoro technique, get rid of the distractions. You don't need to do that. Figure out what's the most important task and make sure you do it, and get rid of anything that's in your environment, like your phone or a book, that can distract you from doing your deep work. And then practice it regularly. Build up your muscle by gradually increasing the length of time that you do deep work. Start with 60 minutes, increase to 90 minutes, and hopefully within a few weeks and months you're doing 3 hours of deep work as a daily habit. Now, if you want my help to make 3 hours of deep work a daily habit, you can scroll down to the description and click the first link right now, and you can get my help.